Today we are going to be creating this Halloween look. Now, I can say that we had lots of epic failures throughout this video, but I will show you a couple little tips and tricks on how to fix makeup issues if you encounter them. And we're just playing today, okay? We are just playing around with makeup and creating a fun look. This is not something I've ever done before, so this was kind of like a practice run. There are things that I would do differently if I was to try to create this type of look again, but this is just something fun that I wanted to do for a little bit of a Halloween look because I would like to bring you guys a couple of fun spooky looks in the month of October, and this is number 2 that I have done so far. If you are interested, at the end of this video, I will put a link so that you can click directly on that for a kind of sultry, dark, kind of gothic look. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I know we're looking a little ghostly. I do have my base on, and I used the KVD Good Apple Full Coverage Serum Foundation. It looks like this. And yes, this does match my face in the winter, but this is for a reason, okay? So it appears as though in the photos, what I'm trying to achieve is kind of this very subtle Asian styled kind of cartoon look for Halloween, if you will. And their face is very white. So this is what I'm starting with. Now in the photos, it doesn't really look like they do any type of bronzing per se, but I need a little dimension. I mean, come on, look at me. I look like a ghost. But I am going to use the She Glam Golden Sun Silk Haze Cream Bronzer that I have reviewed for you guys on a previous video because it's really light. And I'm just going to put just a baby amount, just a hair with not as dense of a brush that I usually use. This one is a little bit softer because I don't want a ton of color. I just want a wee little bit of dimension because otherwise, we look pretty scary here. But I think just a touch, a hair is really what we need here. Now that we're looking a little less ghostly, I'm going to move in with Wet n Wild Underwater Wonder Blush from the SpongeBob collection. This is a liquid blush, and it's very subtle, but it is buildable. But it looks like they just have just blush, but no bronzer. And it's a very subtle pink. So that's what I'm going to do. See, it's very quite sheer. So buildable. And we're going to end up covering a lot of this with powders and stuff. So this is just kind of a nice little base. So I'm going to do that. So it just brings this nice little pink, very baby pink little pop. I'm going to go in with some really bright concealer. This is the Naked Quickie Up to 24-Hour Multi-Use Concealer. It looks like this. And we are going to make our eyes really bright. Now that we are pretty white as a ghost, and a little on the pinky side. I'm going to go in with the Dermablend Professional Loose Setting Powder. I'm going to grab it on a little insy-weensy brush. I'm going to just powder under my eyes. I'm trying to use the lightest makeup that I have. This is translucent. Other ones that I have more pigment in it. So I'm just going to put that right under there, kind of work it into the creases just to really set down that concealer. So I'm just shoving this in everything that's starting to crack. And then I'm gonna come in with a powder puff and set the rest. But these are my places where I crease first. So I just try to hurry that up. For the rest of powdering down my face, I'm going to use a more affordable one. This is the Hard Candy Translucent Powder. And this is Sheer Envy. And really pack it on here. Again, I have extremely oily skin. I have very large pores because of my oily skin. They kind of come combined hand in hand. So I really want to fill in my pores and make sure that my face isn't going to turn into an oily, gloppy mess too fast. We're looking pretty pasty, guys. Okay, next I'm going to add in a little bit more color into my cheeks and bring back that pink. For that, I'm going to use Half Caked Double Dipper. It looks like this in the shade Girls Tour. And for this, I'm going to be using a really lightly packed brush because I just want a flush. And I'm just gonna tap, tap. We're gonna just start with some light taps. I don't wanna go too crazy because you never know how pigmented things get. So what I noticed is that they kind of do one of these where they go around the nose. So I'm just doing a little bit of pink back into the cheeks. And again, like I said, doesn't look like they do contour, so I'm not going to do any contour, but I do want to kind of bring this down a little bit more. Nice and pink. I feel like my face is cracking like a porcelain doll, so I'm gonna try this technique and see if it helps me. Hard Candy Lock On Setting Spray All Day Stay Sweat and Water Resistant with a natural finish. I'm going to put that all over my face to melt in those powders, and then I'm gonna come back in with a lightly dusted powder brush or powder puff with some powder on it and kind of tap, tap, tap and fill in a little bit more. I could ruin my look with this. This could be a disaster. Yes, let's go back in with the Hard Candy, I think. And I'm gonna put like this much on. I'm going to kind of rub it into the puff so that it's kind of nice and evenly coated. I may have put too much on. I basically just did that same thing kind of around the areas that I felt were cracking a little bit. Now I want to add in, again, just a little bit of color up here to give my face a little dimension. So I'm going to be using the Essence Contouring Duo palette. This is really affordable and I really like this one. This is in the shade Light Skin. I mean, obviously I like this one. So I'm just going to dip into the light side and I'm just going to tap this around the perimeter here just to give me a little extra something, but very, very light wash of color. Again, they don't do much contour, said that a few times, but I feel like they have relatively small noses, so I'm going to dip into a little bit of the light and a little bit of the dark. I'm going to use this type of fan brush and look down. So you see the shadow that this creates when I look down. I'm just going to follow along that shadow and create a line along that shadow. And I'm going to bring it around my nose, create a little button nose, just like that. And bring it right up into where my brow meets. And then, I know they don't have butt chins, but I like my butt chin, so I always accentuate that. I have just a little tiny dimple here. Not a huge one, but I always like to give it a little something. And I'm just using the light for that. And then to chisel out the jawline, I will also put it just along the jawline. Like so. Now they have perfect, poreless, flawless skin over in Asia. So jealous. And perfect hair. And perfect hair. These are extensions, by the way. There's extensions galore in my hair. But I'm going to pop into this e.l.f. powder foundation. It's called e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation in the shade Light 205. I'm going to use a little bit of a flat, dense brush, and I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. And I am going to try and create a more flawless appearance with my skin. Give it a little extra color and blend in the blush and the contour a little bit more. And if you want to go full glam, these are steps that you do to go full glam. I mean, full glam, okay? This isn't my everyday routine, but I'm trying to create a look that I wouldn't be able to achieve otherwise. So bear with me, guys. It's a lot. I know, it's a lot. Okay. Now that that's done, I'm going to set my face a little bit more with that same setting spray, just to melt in all those powders and give it the best chance possible to last most of the day. Now we're going to move into eyes, and it appears as though, for the most part, the eyeshadow that they use is just very subtle, a very subtle nude or a very subtle pink. So for that reason, I picked the Tartelette Full Bloom eyeshadow palette, and it looks like this. And it looks like basically all it is a little bit of shadowing and then kind of a sparkle shadow. So for this, I think I'm going to choose Renew. I'm kind of thinking either this one or this one, but I think this one is the one that I want to go with for this look. If I need to deepen it up, I can certainly do that. I'm going to take a pretty big fluffy brush So out of fluffy brushes that I typically use, let me see if I can find, these are the fluffy brushes I will usually use. So this one, the one that I'm going to use, is the biggest fluffy brush. Because overall, I just want a flush of color, not anything real massive, to make it look as natural as possible by just giving a shadow. I'm going to start by tapping. A little bit of windshield washer, a little bit of circle. When I do circles, I go towards my eye out here and then towards the outer edge of my eye this way. So just a little bit to give my eye a little bit of depth and contour. And that's all I'm gonna do for that. Yeah, it's got a little bit of concentration here. I must have found a little puddle in one of my wrinkles of setting spray. Well, now we gotta match it. Now we gotta match the vibe from this one to this one. So I'm gonna do my smaller fluffy brush and just do some windshield wiper in here just to darken it up and so they can be twinsies. All right, so that's it for this eyeshadow. Now I'm going to find a sparkle. For the sparkle, I'm going to choose the She Glam Glitter Wizard. I did a review on this before, so now you'll actually be able to see what it will look like. I'm going to put it on my finger and just kind of tap that all over the eyeball. Like that. For the lower lash line, I'm going to choose a more nude tone so it can create a little bit more of a shadow. For that, I'm going to be using this color right up here, which is Witty. This one is a little bit more brown toned, whereas the first one we used is a little bit more of a dusty rose. For that, I'm going to use a pencil brush, which is a little bit more of a smudgy brush, a little bit more of a pointed tip brush so that I can get right underneath, and I'm going to smudge it and feather it out. So we have that. Next, I want a really white inner corner. So I'm going to reach into a Jeffree Star palette. I don't remember what this one is called. It doesn't say, but I'm going to use this one because this is the whitest white with the most opacity that I have. And this is the shade Death Blow. I really wish I could remember what the name of this palette is. It's like Decay or Deceased or something to do with death. Cremated. I think it's the Cremated palette. All right, so I'm going to be using a paddle brush for this. I'm going to really pack on that color onto my brush because I want a really white inner corner. Really white. I'm going to really want to open my eyes, and for that reason, I'm going to use a white eyeliner pencil. This is the retractable eyeliner from NYX in the color White. And I'm going to put that in my inner corner, and this is going to really open up my eye. In a normal makeup look, I would suggest going more nude tone, because it just works a little bit better. White is pretty stark. But we're going for a Halloween look, so we want the effect, right? Sadly, she's a little dry, so I really had to work hard at that. But there's that. The other thing that I noticed is that they do just a baby bit of eyeliner, just a baby bit. So just a tiny little wing. So I'm gonna try to achieve tiny little wings. This could get out of control very quickly. Fingers crossed. I'm just gonna create this little baby wing. And it almost appears as though they don't go all the way across, that they just kind of stop in the middle. I suppose I should tell you which eyeliner I'm using. It is the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Liquid Eyeliner. This is one of my favorite go-tos as far as eyeliner goes. It is a brush tip, and I really, really like a brush tip versus a felt tip. It's just a little bit easier for me. They're usually a little bit more wet, and because I have very shaky, out of control hands, this one just seems to be the easier way to do it for me. Are we twinsies? I don't think we are. We're going to be putting on a lash anyways. This one turned out cute. This one, I brought it down too far. This one is good, not this one. Anyway, moving on. For mascara, I chose my iconic London mascara. It has one of these rubber bristles, which are just teeny tiny, because what this gives me is kind of a clumpy lash. So this is kind of what I see when I see these types of like costumes and cartoons, is that their eyelashes are really quite clumpy. And I just want a little tiny bit. The other thing I noticed is that they don't do much with inner corner lashes. So I'm not even going to touch the inner corner of my lashes, just kind of going from where I have that eyeliner and moving outwards. Now, this isn't going to give me much of anything as far as length, volume, anything like that, because it's kind of dried out, a little bit old. But I just want a little bit of color to my very blonde lashes so that they blend in a little bit better to the eyelash that I'm gonna glue on. So see, it doesn't do much. And again, I want to color my eyelashes because we are going to put eyelashes on the bottom as well. So let me finish this and we'll go to the next step. To blend my mascara and my eyeliner in a little bit better, I'm going to use this Revlon Color Stay eyeliner. It's a retractable with a smudger in the color black. And it looks like this, 24 hour. This is one of my better ones that I use in my upper waterline. It has a nice staying power. I have not found one that, I mean, is really waterproof. It always transfers. I haven't found a transfer proof one, but I'm going just where I put the eyeliner on top so you can see the difference between no eyeliner and eyeliner. It just blends it a little bit better. I'm going to get my eyelashes started. These are Day of the Dead Sugar Dolls in the fashion Emma. I picked these up at the Dollar Tree last year. So $1.25 for this set. Good deal. These you can cut and segment if you want, or you can use the whole strip. So if you're the kind of person that likes to do the strips, the little clumps, the little clusters underneath your eyelash, this is a good pair for that because you can chop these up. My goodness, let me in here, let me in. So you can chop these up and use just these individual clusters. I think I can get away with just cutting off one little cluster. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the glue on it. I'll show you how to do that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inner and outer corner of my eye. This will help to keep it from lifting in the corners. But I'm going to get that started and let it sit just a little bit, and we're going to work on some brows. I'm a little frustrated. I swiped my arm across the table and it took off with that eyelash, and because it's so tiny, I can't find it. And before the glue dries on this one, I'm just going to plop it on. So I start from the center, then I'll take the outer corner and attach that. And I'll take the inner corner and attach that. And then I will pinch together. And my eyes are watering. And it's cracking my eyeshadow. This is turning out to be somewhat of a disaster. There we have that lash. All is not lost. I found it, but the glue is dry. So I'm just gonna put just a little thin line back on it. It's still kind of sticky, cat hairs. So I just put a little bit of reinforcement on there. This may not stick the rest of the day, but we'll see. There we go. You always want to let your glue dry a little bit, otherwise it won't grab to your lid. And again, using a little touch of glue on the inner and outer corner of your actual eyelid, also very helpful. It will help to grab that like double-sided sticky tape. You know, you got tape here, sandwiched together, works really, really well. One thing you can do to disguise your eyelash band is to just come back in with your black liner and do just a little baby bit right on the lash band. All right, push those up. Just a very simple lash. Now, I have never have I used a lower lash. So this could be interesting. These are our Dell bottom lashes, and I get this kind of stuff that I've never tried and want to experiment with. Super cheap, FYI, I don't pay a ton for this stuff if I just want to experiment with it. This may have been something that was on clearance. It may have been something that was at like a TJ Maxx or something like that. So you will have to bear with me on this one because this is a new one for me. This could be interesting. So when you put on your upper eyelashes, you want them to curl up. Lower lashes, you want them to curl down. Pray for me, guys. This could be interesting. I've done a lower lash, just a cluster, when I did my unicorn look for Halloween. And that was pretty easy because it was just one cluster. I've never done a full band. So let's try putting it on while it's still kind of wet. Let's just see. I am tucking it right, very, very close. As close as I can get it. Kind of just playing here, right? Just playing, just experimenting. This isn't a look that I've ever done before. I'm not going anywhere. So we're just playing together. It gives me a more defined lash. And I think that's kind of more of what I'm looking for, is that more defined lower lash. But I think they use longer. I don't know. I think we're getting somewhere. I'm going to repeat the process on the other eye. That second one was a beastie, and it looks all screwed up. So I'm just going to add a little bit of mascara, which should also help to declumpify it just a little bit, because it is not looking fantastic. Look at, my eyes are watering really bad, so it's taking off that white inner corner that we laid down. I'm gonna see if I can potentially fix that with some primer. NYX Glitter Primer to the rescue. Let's see. Flat little paddle brush. I'm just gonna stick that right in there where everything is starting to come off from my watery eyes. Let's pray to the makeup gods this works. Go back into my Jeffree Star palette, pop back into that white color, and lay it down. I'm gonna have a really white inner corner here. What if I put in some glitter in here? Maybe to disguise it a little bit, which is the one that's right next to the white. It's this one. It's called Diamond Ashes. I'll just try to disguise that it's looking a little yucky poo. There's always help. Always helps to hide all those boo-boo imperfections. Love a good glimmer shimmer, as long as it's eyeshadow. I don't like glimmer shimmer powder under my eyes. Okay, next, I have a mess on my table. I noticed that they do their eyebrows not fluffy, but kind of laid down like my eyebrows already are. So I am going to use my ever so loved Maybelline Super Slick Brow Glue. And this is in the clear color. They do have shades available if you like to use colored ones. I prefer the clear. Colored ones can get out of hand kind of quickly. But I am literally just going to lay my brows down kind of where they naturally go. This is the shape that I want. Let it dry a little bit. Then I'm going to go in with the She Glam Insta Brow Pencil in the shade Light Brown. And we are just going to fill in kind of the remainder. I've got it nicely shaded. I'll do the other brow, and then I'm going to show you this Maybelline Build-A-Brow. It's a marker, and it'll give you the nicest little hairline strokes. This one is so simple, you guys. With holding it very far at the end, I will have to rest my arm. I just do tap, very light tap. And that's it. Just a very light tap. And just little baby strokes. Like that. The last thing I noticed is that they have just a very pinky flush of color on their lips. So for that, I'm going to be using a Wet n Wild in the shade 503C. It is the one that comes in the black packaging with the clear top. It's a very pinky color. No lip liner. I'm just trying to make it just as simple as possible. I'm going to do this. The very last thing that I do, guys, if you notice, my hairline looks a little questionable. So this is what I do, is I take a makeup wipe and I just come in here, right out that hairline where those white hairs are from the foundation and all the powders and everything that I used. And I'll come in and I will clean it up just like so. Ta-da, looks a lot better, right? So for my absolute very final step, I am going to put on some contacts from the show Demon Slayer. If you've not seen it, it is an Asian anime film that is really quite popular. They just had a movie that came out. It was in the movie theaters a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know if it's still available, but we like to watch it anyways. We've seen all the seasons and we've watched all the movies up to this point. And I did pick up a pair for myself and for my partner. He can't wear the prescription ones, so I got him the non-prescription, and then I got myself the prescription. So let's go ahead, put that on, and we will do a final look for you guys. Here's the final look. I had to dip into my partner's non-prescription contacts because mine had gotten dried up. But we did encounter some epic failures in doing this. Putting these in made my eyes water even more. So I did have to touch up with some powder and I had to add in some more white shadow. And I, from a distance, we're there. Close up is pretty scary. This eyelash down here doesn't want to stay connected on this side. Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. Again, we're just playing around with makeup, just having fun, just throwing out some creative ideas for you guys as a way to dress up for Halloween. I don't have everything in my makeup or everything in my clothing in order to pull off the final look of a Demon Slayer. So we're just kind of picking and putting together a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So we've got a little bit of an Asian hairdo, a little bit of Asian makeup, not exactly how they do it, but kind of close. I've got the Demon Slayer contacts in, which really pulls it all together. And it is kind of like a creepy look. Part is, I cannot see out of these contacts. It is like I am walking in this teeny tiny tunnel because the color closes up part of my eye so that I have just a little bit to see through. So if you are going to wear contacts like this, just throwing this out there, you may need a seeing eye dog or your partner to hold on to. Do not drive in these. Absolutely not recommended. But now because I have them in, I can't even see if my makeup looks like absolute dog poo-poo caca. Anyways, guys, I was just having fun and I wanted to jump on camera and have fun with you guys as well. Makeup is experimenting. Just play, just experiment. You just have to take a day where you're not going anywhere, you're not doing anything, and just play. Usually do this in my bathroom, boom, 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 and I can get it laid down and set before it starts to crack and do weird things like it was doing. So all the extra spray that I used isn't necessary. I was just trying to fix some of those issues, but it was good for me to show you so that if you guys ever did encounter that kind of thing and you need to fix it instead of taking off all of your makeup, at least there's a couple of tips in there to help you with that. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me on yet another video. If you are new here, I would love it if you considered subscribing. I'm not always a hot mess. Sometimes I'm more put together, but also there is a new feature down below. It's called Hype. It also is within the comment section below. You just have to swipe over to the left and it will show you the Hype button. Just tap on that. It helps to boost these videos so that it goes into the YouTube algorithms for other people to watch and enjoy. I would love hearing from you in the comment section down below. Was it fun just to play around with makeup? Do you want to see me just play around and experiment with new things with makeup that's a little bit more outside of how I regularly do my makeup, just to give you guys a little tip and trick here and there for something new and different? Also, great big thumbs up for me if you would. I would love it and greatly appreciate it. But until next time, guys, I will see you later. Bye, guys.